Welcome to presentation of AcuQC, an AcuBoost product published by Information Integration Group. What I'm going to do today is go over a quick PowerPoint presentation, and after that I will show you the actual programs. So here we see a list of some of IIG's other products. Some of our products are on the Acumatica price list. Some have been purchased already by Acumatica. These are some of our other popular products that we have. So what QC tracking does, it lets you create inspection QC tasks. You assign these QC tasks to stock items in Acumatica. So by stock item, by function, PO receipt, IM receipt, kit assembly, field service, AcuRental, you tell the system what QC functions need to be performed. Now, what happens is when the transaction in Acumatica is updated, whether it's a purchase receipt or IM receipt or kit assembly, system will look at the item. If it has QC functions that need to be performed, instead of receiving the product in the location that it was supposed to receive it in, it will receive it into a QC location, which is identified, set up in the preferences, and it would load the those QC functions in a worksheet, allowing the user to print a sheet, an inspection sheet, capture signature, enter the results of the inspection. And once the process is completed, you could check those inspections as completed, and we automatically generate the transfer document, putting the item back into location that it was supposed to be at. So these are your QC functions. I failed to mention that by QC function, you enter the problem codes that they can enter and the resolutions for each QC action. So if there's some tracking needed as to what are the type of issues we're having and how we resolve them, you also have visibility over those. So here is a stock item we're looking at. This is the tab where you enter your QC functions. So here we're telling it that these are the QC functions that need to be performed. Here, all three of them are for PO receipt, but if there were others, each one would be identified as the line so you can group together. You know, when the product is received, these 5 functions need to be performed. When you're doing a rental return, rental shipment, or field service work order, you need to do these 5 inspections or those 5 inspections. And the tab becomes available when you check this box called QC required. So this is that screen where, let's say you process the PO receipt, product gets received in the QC location, information is here, you can filter by item, the function that you're doing the QC on, the warehouse or the specific item serial number. You would see those for each function. They have a status of assigned in progress completed. Let's say the item has 3 functions that need to be performed when the PO is received. You go through each one of them. Once all 3 is completed, you could check this box and click on approve. Now, approve could be a security function, so only certain people can approve it. Now you can print a QC inspection sheet if you need to, based on an item, a type of QC function that you need to. You can capture a signature, and that's kept with the QC function, so you can see who was the person who authorized it. Here we're seeing the location. It goes from QC location to receiving once you complete your inspection functions. So that's a quick overview. Now let's look at the actual program. So I just created a PO. I'm just going to receive this PO. And what happens is that it's going to enter this item, doesn't have a quantity. Let's just yes. Just going to add a new purchase order. I think we just timed out here. A vendor is the purchase order that I'm going to enter. The item is SMG 2500, and basically going to enter a quantity, and we're going to add this item that's set up for auto load. So we have created a PO. We're going to remove it from hold. These are just basic Acumatica functionality. We're going to approve it, and then we're going to create a PO receipt document. The transaction gets loaded in here. We're going to give it a serial number, and the serial number could be 2022 ABIIG, for example. Quantity of 1 is received. I can OK it, enter an vendor invoice number, and then save it and release it. So here we release the transaction, and if we go into inventory and look at the transfers, we will see a transfer that product, and we can look at the line detail and see that 2022 IIG lot share number got loaded into the QC location. So it's sitting in the QC location, and it's going to move from the QC location to the receiving, which was the source transactions location. Once we perform these QC functions here, so I can come in here and give it the item SMB 2500, and I can select my warehouse that I'm receiving it, and even the lot number that I was receiving 2020 IIG. So let's go look at that 2022 IIG, and you'll see there's two QC functions that need to be performed. Checking the electronics and body components. And if I click on the item, you would see that that's what we've set up here as QC functions for the item. So we've told it that when this item is received, and the PR is the purchase receipt, so you have different codes. So you tell it what functions would need to be performed when you're doing an IM, receive, rental, return, manufacturing, transaction, kit assembly, service, work order, and all of that. So we've told it that when you do a purchase receipt, we want to do these two functions. We want to, they're grouped into safety and install checklist and a description and comments, what's allowable, answers, number ranges, and so forth, date, time, and all of that. So we basically here now have these two functions that need to be performed because of our settings. So I'm going to come in here and mark this as completed, mark this as completed. Now here is some of the other things that we have available to us. So you can enter problem code, resolution code. If it failed, what was the problem, what we did to resolve it, and on and on. But if once we're all done with it, we check the two boxes and we approve it. Now we can, as I mentioned, if there are folks in there that do a tractor rental or a tractor return or a tractor receipt, and this inspection function for a crane or tractor could be 40, 30, 40 items. The grouping could be such that you create different forms, and the forms printed would basically have just that grouping. So the person goes out with a checkbox and checks what inspections they perform. So, and the same thing with the signature capture and all that. But once I approve it, now if I go back to my inventory transactions and look at the transfers, I will see a new transfer generated, which moved the item from the QC location to the receiving, which was the location from the stock item for when you receive that item. So with this enhancement QC tracking, all we're doing, if you're doing a service work order, if you're doing anything, instead of letting you complete the transaction, for example, if it's a rental, if you want to do a rental shipment, you load the item into the shipment product, shipment transaction. Before we let you confirm shipment, we will tell you that you need to go in and perform those functions on the QC screen before you could actually confirm the shipment. The same thing with rental return, the same thing with the kit assembly. Before you can release the kit assembly transaction, you need to go perform those functions, and then you could basically process. So this is a quick overview of our QC processing enhancement. My name is Alec Bagdasarian. If you have any questions about the enhancement or this enhancement or any of the other enhancement, please feel free to reach out to us, and we can talk to you one-on-one about your needs and your requirements. Thank you for your attention.